Okay, let's see what we got tonight. It's getting really cold, so I gotta do this before temperature drops much more. Let's see. I don't really feel like doing much. Where is the gloves? I'm gonna work on some more obsidian since it's a lot less stressful. I got a good sized piece. Again, this is from my friend Luke. Yeah. Raise the camera a little bit. Okay. So this one is about 8 inches. Alright. So I'm just going to do the biface thing. This is some kind of Dacite, but it's got red streaks in it. It's really cool stuff. This is the first time I've seen this kind of Dacite. Another one of my friends got a bunch of this also from Luke. Yeah, it's good stuff. Yeah, we've been working with it, and it naps like butter. Yes, it does. All right. It's got a few issues when you start out with a nodule. You're gonna have some issues with cracking near the surface, but that's okay. It's to be expected. So I'll try to knock off all the cruddy areas. I would like to get a bunch of nice spalls off of this also. Yeah. Hopefully. Like this. This is a nice spall. This is almost too heavy to hold in my hand and work, but it's not too bad. It's about the upper limit of what I normally would hold in my hand to work. You know, I can work it on my lap or on my leg. But if I don't have to do it that way, I'd rather not. Because if I don't put it right here, I don't have to keep wiping off the flakes. They just go to the floor. So yeah, I am going to try to make a big biface. It'd be a boring video if I didn't. Yeah, hand-eye coordination is pretty important. Yes, yes. All those big flakes are useful. That's so nice. It does nap like butter. Yep. I'll be making a variety of things with this obsidian. Oh yes. Yeah, I like it. It's opaque, it's not translucent, which is good because I can see all the flakes and all the shards, and if I get one in my finger somewhere or whatever, I can find it easily and yank it out or scratch it out or tweeze it. It's not transparent. It's good. It's good. I like this kind of stuff. Did it do a good spall? Yes, but it has a crack. It's still good. Yeah. Yeah, I'll probably break it in half, but it's still good. Yeah, if I try to capture this long edge here and make a big long narrow point, it's still very very risky, but I'll just leave it. Sometimes I just break those in half to start out with. You know, the first thing I do is, oop, that crack is way too big, I'll just break it in half. Saves me the trouble of trying to work around it. Okay. I have to focus on these flake removals if I want some big old spalls. I'll eventually get around to all the requests. Yep. I'll try to do napping every day next week until I go on my hunting trip. You know, every day up until the hunting trip. Because I'll be taking like 3 days off during the hunting trip, not doing any napping. So I gotta get the napping in at the beginning of the week. I think we're going on a weekend. Something like that. Alright. Oh yes. I like it. It's curved, but doesn't matter. Okay, so should I take a big flake? I can really focus. I mean, if I want to, I can plan this out meticulously. But as I was explaining to someone earlier, I'm very opportunistic. Oops. And what's the opposite of opportunistic as far as flaking goes? Well, I call it contrived. There's opportunistic flaking, and then there's contrived flaking. Contrived just means that you're building an area or constructing an area to remove a flake and then remove it. Like, let's say I wanted a flake right here removed. Instead of looking for an opportunity to remove it with the contours that I have, I would just go ahead and create a contour that's not opportunistic. I'll intentionally make a platform somewhere where I think is good, and then take the flake. That's contrived. If you just create something that's not what's already naturally there. I tend to leave the natural areas there and just hit them, and then everything is basically incidental as far as all the ridges and the high spots. I don't take a flake and think ahead of time that, ooh, there's going to be like a ridge here or a ridge there, or try to construct the flake removal, or try to make the flake removals give me another opportunity somewhere. I don't usually do that. I just take the flake opportunistically, okay, and then whatever it gives me, let's see if I have another opportunity. It's incidental, these ridges here. I did not plan on having the ridge there or plan on having the ridge there. I just took that flake opportunistically, and every flake after that is opportunistic as well, without thinking too much in advance. You know what I mean? You know what I mean. If I'm thinking in advance and I'm planning everything and I'm setting up special areas to hit, I call that contrived flaking. Why do I call it that? Because I looked up something. I looked up in the dictionary to find like the opposite of what's opportunistic. That's how I came up with that. So it's just, I just came up with that as a method to explain what I'm doing, as a terminology to explain what I'm doing. Some people, they like knapping in a contrived way because there's more control. Yeah, you can achieve a little bit more control, or maybe a lot more control, if you plan everything and set up everything in advance for each strike. One good example is when you set up a platform and a ridge for a flute on the base or on the stem. Fluting is contrived because it's not opportunistic. You're actually trying to install a thinning flake in a very specific area. Some people knap that way everywhere, where every place that you're taking a flake is planned ahead of time and prepared in a specific spot, so that not only the contour is planned, but the ridges are planned, so to speak. You can't plan everything perfectly, but you can develop the habit of attempting to control every flake removal and not be opportunistic. It's a certain mindset, and I think it has to do with not only the habits you develop, but your actual brain makeup, or the way you actually think. I don't know if it's hereditary, but it's a mindset. Oops, that's not good. Now, is it a good mindset to develop, that mindset of complete control over the workpiece? Yeah, I'm not going to say it's bad, and some of the artifacts were made that way, but most artifacts were not made that way, in my opinion. Most artifacts were made with opportunistic flaking and not planned with every single strike. With obsidian and other high quality stones, the control is a lot easier to achieve. And of course, the more skill you have, the more control you can develop, and you get a lot of patterned flaking as a result, if you want. You can develop the skill of putting the flake where you want most of the time. You can't predict everything, but you can, I mean, if you want to get into that sort of knapping, it is a way to do it. It wasn't a very common way. When you look at the artifacts, you can see the opportunism, but you can also see the control aspect as well. So I think, though, that's the two different methods of going about it in general. You can either do it opportunistically. Well, let's say three methods: opportunistically, contrived, or a combination of the two. Yeah. If you've got certain features like flutes in the stem or the base, you've got to do some contrived sculpting of the workpiece to get that flute in that specific spot. Yeah. Of course, it doesn't always work. You have failures. But you know, when it works good. It works well. When it works well. It looks good. When it works, it looks good. Ouch, ouch, ouch. Too much. I like being opportunistic because it's less fatiguing on the brain. For mine anyway. Less fatigue and less worry. I don't have to sweat it as much. I don't have to worry about, oops, I messed up my attempt to control where that platform was. Because not only can you mess up the flake, you can mess up your preparation for the flake. If you just opportunistically hit, you don't have to worry about it. Half of that. You don't have to worry about, oops, I messed up the platform. No, if you're just hitting opportunistically, you just, you know, like, for example, you dull the edge and then you look for a good opportunity. And then you hit it. Whereas if you're using the contrived method, you're going to see, I see this lump, so I'm going to build a platform there, whether there's one here or not, and then take the flake. And then I see this lump, I don't like it, so what I'm going to do is create a platform here and then take it on purpose from that specific platform, and that's where I'm going to take it for sure. Alright, but when I do it, I just look for opportunities. Is there a way to do it now? Yeah, I got two options. If I want to remove this lump, I can come in from here somewhere. Right now I can probably hit there opportunistically. If that doesn't work, then I can start zigzagging a little bit, and eventually, you know, I'll zig this way and then I can zig that way. Maybe. And if that doesn't work, I can zig on this side, and maybe it'll give me an opportunity to go across there. That's opportunistic. Okay, so I'm going to zigzag this first here. And get rid of this lump near the tip. Maybe get some good flakes. Yes, okay. Gotta be careful. This stuff looks like it will dive easily. So the most unpredictable part of the flake is the termination. So I don't want to take too many risks with flakes that are too long or basically too deep, because it may dive in too much. Yeah. So this next one, I'm not going to do the inward force. I'm going to turn it up like that and hit more downward. I had a question on that too. How do you make short flakes on purpose? You just change this and hit downward instead of hitting inward. All strikes have both components. All strikes have an inward and a downward component. But to hit small flakes off, you just hit more downward. You know, you change this, or you can change this, or you can change both. Change the workpiece angle or the bopper angle or whatever tool you're working with, or both. One or the other, or both. Yeah, you can get good at controlling the flakes, and one of the things that is required for thinness is to have a pretty good command of the flaking. You have to have a good ability to flake to make the thin points, because there's not much room for error. There's a little bit of room for error, but not much. And the thinner you go, the less room for error there is. You can reduce your error rate by making it more narrow. That way you don't have to make the flakes travel as far. That's one way to increase your success if you're trying to control everything. Another is to just work on the same type of point, and that's it, over and over and over, the same type. That way you get used to the shape. It becomes second nature, which gives you a lot of advantages in muscle memory. Yeah. So you don't have to worry about that variable, losing control in that area, you know, of your muscle memory. Use the same type of tool every time, the same technique every time, and tweak it. To get what you want. Nice. That went further than I thought I was going to go. So I got to be careful that I don't take off too much or send a flake too far. It's almost, well, it almost created an ugly step fracture there, but that's not too bad. Yeah, the hardest part to control is the ending of the flake. Can you control the ending of the flake? Well, the only way that I know of to control the ending is to stop it before it gets that far. I mean, you can stop the flake, but I don't know about making it go further. Making it go further is much harder than stopping it. So you can apply pressure where you think it's going to end, and then it'll stop without going past. I don't use that technique, but that is one that I've seen used. I suppose it is effective, but I haven't practiced it. You need practice to get that particular thing done. Usually I don't want to stop flakes from running. Yeah. But it is possible to do it if it's in a risky spot. So yeah, all this flaking that I've been doing is just opportunistic. Once in a while I'll have to create a spot where if I don't see any opportunities to get the lump off, I'm going to have to create a spot so I can take the lump out. Yeah, sometimes I don't see any opportunities from these incidental areas. I run out of options, so I have to intentionally create a platform sometimes. Sometimes I don't bother and I just continue with the opportunism, and if I can't get the lump out, oh well. Yeah, that's the thing. You don't have to take everything out. You can leave some of the areas kind of wonky if you want. Nothing says it has to be absolutely perfect. especially if it's going to drive you nuts. Yeah, the bopper took off a little bit too much off the tip because I was trying to do some delicate work with the 9-ounce bopper. This is the heaviest one I've got. But I'm trying to make that tip nice and neat. Yeah. Let's see. Finer Abrader is not going to be as harsh. If it's too harsh, it doesn't give me a good opportunity. If the abrader is too harsh, the edge doesn't look that great. Because it'll be all crackly looking. You need to make firm contact with the edge in order to remove a flake. If it's all crackly and all kind of stepping near the edge with a coarse abrader, if there's too much of that, it doesn't give you a good spot to hit. Why am I still using the coarse abrader? Because it's faster. And then I'll get down to using the finer abrader so I can get a good firm solid contact. I'm being careful with the tip because that's what gives me the most trouble. Other than snapping everything in half. Ruining the tips are one of my pet peeves. I hate doing it. I hate ruining the tip. But I get impatient. Yeah. And I just want to do it quickly. What did it do? Yeah, broken. See, when the flakes break like this, that means it's going to be snapping half-ish. In my opinion, that's what that means. You know, so you got to be careful. When the flakes start breaking in half, that means the whole thing could break in half. It looks snapping half-ish. Yeah. So how do I avoid the snap in half? Just keep it thick. I gotta keep it relatively thick. I think I may have cracked it. Yeah, too much inward force messed it up. I was trying for a big old flake. I did make a big old flake, but I also cracked the edge a lot. They're supposed to do that without cracks or step fractures near the edge. But you know, the striking area or the platform was not ideal, obviously. Alright. And maybe this is getting too dimpled and stuff. I don't know, that didn't sound good either. Yeah. Usually there's a little ring tone when you remove a good flake. But if it just goes thud or it's like, uh-oh. You can actually hear the snap of the broken flake. Alright. So yeah. Gotta practice for a long time to get good at making sure these flakes don't go all crazy or all steppy. You can't control them completely, but you can get close. Youch. Ah, come on. Let's see. Either my depth perception is off or something's off. I can't seem to hit it correctly. Changing the position of the light. Let's take a little pause. For 30 minutes? Yeah. We'll pause right there and continue on the next segment. Yeah, I need to give my eyes a rest. I've been using my eyes for like 3 hours straight. I gotta make sure I don't make these little mistakes. The step fractures, the miss hits on the edge, because it's getting to the sweat stage, pretty thin, relatively speaking. What was it before? 8 inches long? It's now 7 3/8. By what? By 5. I got lots of room. Okay. Next segment. Let's see. All right.